For beginners learning crank welding, these 3 points are crucial. In this video, we'll share with you how to weld small pieces of metal using a crank welding machine. If you're a beginner, please like and save this video. First, to create beautiful patterns, sufficient current is essential. So, is a higher or lower current better? Let's zoom in on an old image. If I use a low current, when I swing the machine left and right, you can see the molten iron is completely unmelted, sticky and not smooth, and the weld is uneven. The molten iron hasn't spread out at all. You definitely won't be able to weld patterns like this. Second, if we set the current too high, you'll see that the molten iron spreads out significantly. When I swing the machine left and right, the pattern is completely scattered. This means the current is too high. The texture will be very clear, but the edges will definitely not be smooth. To see a nice flow, we need to maintain the shape of our welding pool. Our welding pool should be elliptical. If the sticker is a large, round blob after welding, it means the flow rate is too high. If it's narrow in the middle and wide at both sides, or if the molten iron doesn't spread at all, this is a current effect. Next, we need to adjust the correct current. The best current is 170/180, which is most suitable for beginners. The second most crucial point is our torch shaking technique. How can I make the texture spread in this step? How can I swing the torch? This is the second most important point in torch shaking welding. To make your welding torch swing, the most crucial thing is our torch shaking technique. Look at my dimensions, this lower part. The first point at the bottom needs to contact the wood. After contact, how do we make it roll? We twist it to the left, then the nozzle rolls upwards. After rolling, we twist the nozzle again, so the welding wire tip is aligned with the edge. Then we twist it to the left again, rolling to the left. After rolling, we twist the nozzle again, shifting the overall position to the left. Repeat this alternating twisting and rolling motion. A crucial detail to note is that the gear must twist first and then roll. This ensures the edge being burned by the drone is vertical and flush with the edge. Avoid situations where the edge is burned crookedly. Otherwise, the burned edge will be messy and uneven. If you know how to sell fabric, how do you sell it effectively? You need to study how to sell large and small fabrics. This is about large and small patterns. One difference in weld texture is that, like this pimple, if I want to take a big step, the angle of my left and right folds determines the size of my weld texture. If I fold larger and roll, you see, the temperature is higher due to the large amplitude rolling and folding. If you see, the amplitude of my folding decreases, and I just roll with more rolling and smaller folding, then your weld texture will be finer. For example, the size of our weld texture depends on the size of our steps. To weld small weld textures, we need to make them denser. To weld large weld textures, we need to make them larger. That's the difference in weld texture size. Next, we'll talk about another important point. Should I heat the molten pool or the welding wire when welding a weld? This is a common mistake for beginners. Many beginners feel that the molten iron isn't melting properly and forms a ball. This is a typical example of raising the arc too high. If you don't heat the molten pool directly, you'll find that the electric kettle is heating up to about 5 meters from the back of the welding wire tip. This will cause the welding wire tip to swell, forming a rounded shape which your hammer can't cut, and thus the texture won't appear. So what is the best arc height? Let's continue. The best arc height is when the welding tip is lowered and then raised up by no more than 2 meters. Imagine the thickness of my welding blade and the thickness of my molten iron, which is about 1 millimeter or a little more. The height I raise is exactly 2 millimeters plus the thickness, and the actual height of my electric kettle is about 1 millimeter. This way the electric kettle is lowered, The heat of the molten iron is more concentrated, and the melting is smoother. Now, if you've read this far, please like and follow. Next, we'll adjust the current to 180 and demonstrate this high definition welding pool for you. Let's look at the details.